And I'm back, America, still running for president of the United States because nobody else will. We'll talk about getting us out of this system that's killing us and the planet. Now, where were we? Well, let's review. In episode 2, we identified some of our biggest problems and began to see why they can't be fixed with new laws or new politicians, because the underlying conditions that encourage and reward these negative outcomes would still be there. And then we suddenly understood a terrifying realization that the call is coming from inside the house. Figuratively speaking, the cause is coming from inside the structure. And in the last episode, we went down in the basement to identify the foundational elements that support, that reinforce this structure, which are the market system, along with the monetary system and the central bankers who run the casino and manipulate the money game. And now where exactly in this foundation is the root or roots of those problems we've been talking about? Well, with all the new sustainable economic systems being proposed, you can guess one thing they all have in common. Yeah, getting rid of the central banks. Absolutely. Those criminal Ponzi schemers with their dastardly deed of debt, that has to go. Everybody agrees there. But here's the thing. Even if we get rid of the central banks, which we have to do, it's still not going to solve most of these problems. We'd be less in debt, yeah, that's for sure, while our whole society continues to suffer from the same issues. So is it the market system? Well, yeah. Most of these problems are precisely what the market system produces. First of all, any system based on infinite growth and consumption is completely unsustainable, and this is the root cause of so much environmental destruction we see all around us, our air, water, and the land being polluted for profit. And what else with the market system? Where you have to maximize profits and reduce costs. That's the strategy, yeah. And that results in the planned obsolescence, wasting resources by saving on costs to make them cheaply so they'll break down and we can sell them again. And when it comes to the disposing of industrial waste, well, corporations will dump it wherever they can get away with it to maximize profits. See, there's a structural incentive here to cut corners and save money. And with advertising, trying to manipulate you, create demand for some products nobody might need, because we have to keep selling something, anything, to keep the consumption wheel turning. All these things add to the environmental cost we're paying. And this market system is based on competition toward the goals of gaining advantage and accumulating wealth. And it's cutthroat competition at the highest level, which leads to these endless wars? Of course it does. What else would you expect? Corporations are working hand in hand with governments to grab resources, to expand their empires, still playing their old Game of Thrones. Well, these incentives and rewards have to be removed if you're serious about ending these wars. And this competition to beat your competitors at any cost, well, that results in so much corruption we see everywhere, in our government, on Wall Street, manipulating the markets, down to the smallest transactions on the local level. Can't trust anyone when you're doing business. And competition works against us in other ways, by slowing down scientific progress and innovation. Yes, I know we've been indoctrinated to believe that competition furthers progress. Actually, no. Scientists working in the free market are not free. They're forced to hoard information to keep their technology secret, to maximize profits for their corporation. We would be so much further along with our scientific advancements and technical know-how by sharing our technology, by collaborating in an open source society with the whole world, which we can do now. And competition goes another step beyond this hoarding. It also works to stop the introduction of new technologies altogether that could benefit all of us, as we've seen with the electric car or With the new clean energy systems, these guys will do whatever it takes to restrict these emerging technologies and solutions that we need now. Think about that. Our dominant institutions actually work to stop progress in our system of competition, where everyone's working to get rid of the competition. Irony. One more thing I need to mention here, a deep root, maybe the deepest, that element of scarcity that this system needs. All the economic systems we've known in the past are built around this scarcity because it was real. It was a world of scarcity back then, not so much anymore. So are the effects of scarcity good or bad? They're terrible. If you have to keep food scarce to manipulate the price in the marketplace, you're going to have hunger, starvation, and if housing and other basic necessities are scarce, homelessness, human deprivation on many levels, and money. That has to be scarce too. And that's not even real. That's not a resource in the natural world, but just part of the game. But it's kept scarce in order to keep you corralled, keep you at just the right amount of hungry and desperate. And what does that do? It creates an enormous amount of stress, which is a killer, literally, physically, psychologically. The mental illness we're dealing with these days, we are the most medicated society in history. But that's a good thing in this system, right? Yeah. Remember, a sick society, good for business. What else about money being scarce? Well, you'll have crime, of course, and ever-widening income gaps, inequality, and this is where the roots branch again, because here are just some of the byproducts of inequality, which affects all of us. But here's the realization. Our exponential growth of technology has enabled a monumental step in our evolution. It has moved us, it's pushing us into a new era of post-scarcity, going from not enough to enough, from scarcity to abundance, which has happened in just the last decade or so. And this changes everything. It makes a whole new reality possible, incredible opportunities within our reach that never existed until now. Yeah, we've moved into this new era, but we still have these chains around us holding us back because we're still using our old system that needs scarcity, when technology can render that obsolete. What we're actually doing now is creating an artificial scarcity. Yeah, manipulated scarcity to maximize profits. But we don't have to do this anymore, which means we don't have to suffer all these harmful effects of scarcity. And when you understand this and how we can easily produce the things people need by taking advantage of this new technology, then you realize that no one has to be starving now or homeless or going to war. We have the choice at this point in time to end all this sickness and suffering. We can choose to produce abundance rather than preserve scarcity, and free ourselves from this irresponsible consumption and waste, and from so many meaningless and irrelevant jobs and wasted lives. Yeah, you could have real liberty and the pursuit of happiness now in an updated system. Be truly free to explore your interests, to share your gifts with the people around you. We have to acknowledge the truth here, that the market system only sees the natural world around us, our precious resources, as cold, calculated inventory to be exploited for profit, and moving out of this competitive market system with all the conflict and inequality and wars into a new system based on sustainable practices, technical efficiency, collaboration, public health, conservation. Yeah, that's going to solve many of these problems. But here's the thing, it still won't get rid of all the big problems. Hey, we'll never get rid of all the problems, we know that. We're talking about the big problems that are unsustainable and unnecessary now, that are so harmful to all of us, to our society. So we're going back down there again to the deepest level, because there's one more root to expose, which is, yeah, the monetary system itself, where much of this detrimental, aberrant behavior takes root. things like corruption, because that's inherent in any monetary system. If someone can gain advantage with that system, which is pretty much always, people will play outside the rules and money will change hands under the table. You'll have bribery, fraud, collusion, extortion, all those good things. And money will always begin to consolidate in certain areas to certain groups who will use it to gain some level of control or coercion over other people who don't have as much. And this will lead to more inequality and all those societal problems that branch out from there. Now, in a system where people had their needs met, but you still had some form of currency, well, these consequences, they wouldn't be as drastic, but you'd still have them. So are we talking about getting rid of the monetary system too? Getting rid of money? Is that even possible? It's hard to imagine, so contrary to what we've known. Now, I understand that I have been thoroughly indoctrinated to believe that we'll always need money, but I'm not sure about that. Hey, I'm trying to be like a scientist here, not embarrassed to say I don't know. But I'm certainly not going to make any decisions about this based on my indoctrination. No, you got to look a little deeper here. But I do know that with these new sustainable systems being proposed, many of them advocate using some type of currency, nationalize the money, people's banks, loans without interest, or some cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, or a point system, credit, barter, or trade. And then some of them, well, they advocate getting rid of all these things, pulling up all the roots, yanking out all the rotten teeth because they're infected, and we'll just have to fight that infection day after day. So let's solve it now rather than postpone it, because we can. Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying, that our technology makes this possible right now. Well, I can't wait to look into this. And that's what we'll be doing from now on, it'll be so much better than what we've just been through. Yeah, it's a little painful, isn't it? When you're directly exposed to the insanity of this outdated system, what it's doing to us. And you begin to see what's really going on here, and you come face to face with the man behind the curtain. Then you realize he's just a little man putting on a spectacular show, but it's just theater, a grand illusion. Yeah, it's fake. And you want to be real now. You want to be part of the natural world, not part of some game that has no connection to that world. Well, we shall be dealing with reality now, living in accordance with natural law. And that's how we'll design our new system, to keep us in balance with the real world. And it won't be like any of the economic systems we've known in the past, because all those were based around scarcity. This will be the first system designed for this new era of post-scarcity, where we don't hold back technology and innovation because it gets in the way of someone's profits or threatens some long-standing institutions. No, we will embrace this new age of abundance, using technology to the fullest extent, working at things that directly benefit us, that benefit everyone this time, because